Good morning, and gosh, I think it's going to be Happy New Year's to all our fans, MotoAmerica fans. It's Paul Carruthers and Sean Bice with our weekly podcast, Off Track with Carruthers and Bice, and today's special guest, Owen Williams, who's actually right down the road from me, probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe max, in Lake Forest, California. And Owen is about to start. Well, we're all about to start, but it doesn't come quick enough. But this next season, he's going to be riding for Altus Motorsports in the Supersport class again on a Suzuki GSX R 750. So same bike as you've been on for 2 years now. But it seems to me like this is a big opportunity for you, like a bigger team. It's been you and your dad and a helper at some point. Really small team, family atmosphere. You're going to a family atmosphere team, but at least it's bigger, and I think there'll be more support for you. Is that kind of your feeling going into it? Are you excited?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, no, Altus is people that we've known for a little bit now, and they're great people. Being on as small of a team as I was last season was an interesting experience for sure. It came with its own pros and cons, and a few more challenges than pros, I'd say. But yeah, I'm really excited to work with Altus. The size of the team is going to be very beneficial to me, I think. The fact that they've been doing this as long as MotoAmerica has been around, you know what I mean? It adds a sense of almost like security. And the people that I'm going to be working with closest on there are some of the people I already know. And that was part of the reason that we decided to go there. For example, our data guy on Altus will be Murph. And for those who don't know, Murph is a very experienced data person. And he was actually on the Michael Gilbert team with me for my rookie season of Supersport. So, I'm glad to see that he's still in the paddock. And even though last season we weren't working with him, I had my whole rookie season of Supersport working with him. So it'll be good, you know what I mean, to not have to like learn how another person around me operates, and just like that's a smooth transition for me. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to meet all the people that I'll be working with closest on the team, and just mesh as easily as I can, and make the most of it. It's going to be a really great opportunity for me, I believe.
Now, your rookie season was actually better than last season as far as your results go.
Mhm.
Why did that happen? Was it just a difference in the team and not having enough help?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I attribute to having technically worse results this last season is the competition level in Supersport drastically rising from one
That's true,
season to
yeah.
the other. You had similar skill level people at the very top, but the pool of Superbike riders specifically like increased into this last season of Moto America from 2 seasons ago. And I like to add that context because it was a great thing for me. I took that as just like the extra challenge, and the fact that I get to be on track with and ride with more highly skilled racers that have way more experience than me was only a benefit. Even though my results were worse and we had some more challenges this last Moto America season, I still considered it a better Moto America season in terms of how much I learned and how much more comfortable I got with the racing itself. I had to fight a lot harder to get those same results that I did my rookie season. And so it was more beneficial to me in my racing. I feel like I grew more as a racer this last season than I did my rookie season of Supersport, just because of the competition level rising and how many more Superbike racers you had, and the people that I had to battle with were more experienced. So, uh, there were other challenges being on as small of a team as I was. The team was just me, my dad, Chad Williams, and a sponsor slash helper of ours, close friend named Greg Carnes. And Greg is awesome. He just wanted to be there to be hands on. He helped me for my rookie season of Supersport as well, being a set of hands, but it was easier because on the Michael Gilbert team on my rookie season of Supersport, we had more people. But Greg was indispensable this last season. And so it was just 3-man team. And I feel like I could feel like I'd say with some confidence that we were the most successful 3-man team out there in
You're probably
Supersport for
right.
sure. But, Yeah, the main challenges were when some crashes started to happen and some bikes need to get fixed quickly. That's when it started to become crunch time, more or less, during the race weekends. So just having the security of more hands and more people to go to during a race weekend is going to be very huge for me. So yeah.
Owen, one of the things that's a constant source of fascination for me is these riders like you who started out with us at a young age and at an early age in Junior Cup, but it'll be Talent Cup now. And I remember famously, and you'll remember this, before you came into our series, or just before, I think you cut your hair. But when you were super young, you had really long hair to the point where it was funny. People even wondered, like, didn't know your gender or something. Which there's no doubt what your gender is now. But it's funny because I'm bringing this up because you started young and you progressed quickly, not only in your riding, but also in your physical appearance. I mean, you're so tall now. When I hear you talk and I see your face, it's like that's a detached voice to me. It doesn't seem like what should be coming from Owen Williams' mouth. But you've always been, I think, quite quite good with your speech. You've always been really good. Are you an only child?
I am.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens. I mean, it happens a fair amount. Your friends are and your playmates are adults, so you kind of develop your language early on. And I could tell when I first talked to you. So I want to talk about how you were one of the riders, a handful of riders that took that jump from Junior Cup and went into Supersport. You didn't do the Twins Cup as intermediary to get up to Supersport. And other riders I've talked to said you want to get into a class that's as much of a challenge as possible that you can race in for your age group. So is that kind of what your thinking was? And looking back at it, do you think that was the right way for you to go?
Yes, and for one or two main reasons, really. One of which was that all of my competitors, like, around me that were older than me and mentors, for example, I don't know, Michael Gilbert, Jason Pridmore, had way more experience on Supersport bikes than they did it than on Twins bikes because, back in their heyday, the Supersport was like the lower class, or it was like the main class that kids would go up into. So it just so happened that a lot of the people around me had more experience in Supersport, and so I had more knowledge to gain from them regarding the Supersport bikes in particular. And I had more Supersport bikes around me, even locally at Chuckwalla. And uh, the price was a factor. Twins is extremely expensive for what it is, considering that it's not a premier class or close to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, it is a high level racing class, just like all the others, but Supersport is, it's considered like a step on the ladder. You know what I mean? Like, it's very common for Junior Cup to go to Twins, to go to Supersport, to go to Stock 1000 or Superbike or whatever. So considering that it's just another rung on the ladder, we're like, okay, like, Owen has more experience on a super sport bike. Like, I've never even ridden a Twins bike. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you guys. But back when we were considering, like, okay, what are we going to do next season? Like, okay, I just finished my second year of Junior Cup, and we had some ups, but a lot of it was just like, jockeying for position. A lot of it was just struggling in that sense. And I felt like, especially my dad and Jason Pridmore, my coach at the time, he's still my coach now, but he was helping me a lot back then. And we were talking about it a lot. We talked about it at Chuckwalla. We talked about it at the end of that MotoAmerica season. And Pridmore and a couple other people around me basically suggested, you know what I mean? Like, hey, why don't this Chuckwalla season, between MotoAmerica seasons, why don't we get you on a Supersport bike for training? It started out as just for training, and then from there it was like, okay, you have more experience on a Supersport bike. Like, we should heavily consider putting you into Supersport next season because, you know what I mean? Like, why not? It's a way to get a leg up, you know what I mean? In a sense, in the short term and in the long term, it depends on how I take advantage of that, you know what I mean? But in the short term, it was like, okay, you have Junior Cup racers like, I don't know, I'll just like throw out some names like, I don't know, Max Van or Kayla or things like that, to where they might not take that step this year that you're taking that step for whatever reasons. And so now when they come into Supersport, you have a whole year on them, or close to a whole year, because my rookie season wasn't technically a full season. I missed out on the first 2 rounds, but yeah. So it was a suggestion, and there were some people that disagreed for sure. But in the end, I think it was the correct choice, because I don't know that I would have been able to connect with the Supersport bike and get as much out of it if I haven't had that first season of Supersport, in order to just like learn and get a baseline. You know what I mean? I'll be honest, I think one of my weak points as a racer is my speed at adapting. And what I mean by that is, to a new track or to a new bike, because of my experience, and I think part of it was because of my like riding style when I was younger, I feel like other racers tend to like adapt to the tracks a little bit quicker than I do, or adapt to the bikes a little bit quicker than I do. So I'm very what's the word? I'm very grateful that I have been on Supersport this long, because it gives me the sense of confidence that I really need out there. You know, I have a much better understanding of the bike right now than if I didn't have that first year and I was a year behind, so to say. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think to answer your question, I think it was the correct choice. But yeah, you know, there's some people that disagreed with us heavily on that one, thought that I should go on twins, thought I should, you know, do that program. But considering that it would have been a similar price for I guess technically a lower experience group of racers for the most part, it just didn't seem worth it for my choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely.
Sean alluded to the long hair. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to Big O.
I was trying to brush by it.
I'm going back to the days of Big O, the child prodigy speedway racer. And I'm sure I don't know how many people even know that you did this, but you were a really accomplished kid speedway racer in the Southern California circuit, which is the hotbed for that sport. What changed to push you where you are now and not stay in that?
Uh, it was a couple of reasons. I love the speedway community. I love a lot of people in the speedway community. Especially shout out Greg Hancock, you know, Levi Lutz, you know, the kids that I raced with, the people that, you know, coached me in that sport. I love that sport. You won't find a facet of motorcycle racing, especially in the US, that is like so tight knit, like a whole. And when I say facet of motorcycle racing, like a lot of people say the same thing about Chuckwalla, like my local racetrack. They're like, oh, it's like a family, and it is, but that's just a club. This one is the whole sport. They're all doing the same thing, and it's a pretty small community, and that it's a great community to be in. Sorry.
And it's racing around Southern California in the evenings, right? I mean, so it seems like the same group just goes, you know.
Oh yeah, and the same group goes up to Northern Cal for
so that's
some
probably
of the
where
national events.
That tightness probably comes from that. I'm sure a lot of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love speedway. The reasoning that I'm stopping speedway is simply because of kind of priority changes in wanting to change how I spend my time and my cross training specifically. No matter what way you put it, speedway is fun, but it is not necessarily the most beneficial for road race training. It's fun, but there's other forms of dirt tracking that benefit me more. Speedway, for those who don't know, is I guess I can't really explain it in full detail. I would just say to look up the world level races to really get an idea of what it is. But it's a form of dirt tracking that is around a dirt flat oval, and are on crazy bikes where you basically just hold the gas in order to turn, and the whole bike steps out sideways, and you just stay in the power essentially, as opposed to flat tracking where you brake going into the corner and then gas coming out. But yeah, I think the simple reason I'm kind of like stepping away from speedway for now is just yeah, priority changes, wanting to do more cross training more deliberately in other areas, and just get the bike out of the garage. I mean, dude, my dad's garage is so stuffed. It is ridiculous. I'm sure that so many other race dads can relate to that one. But yeah, so I love speedway. It's something that I've been doing for a long time. I believe I've been doing it since I was around like 8, 9, 10. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but yeah. And then a couple years ago, kind of like stopped going to every race, and then in the past couple of years, just been a few times here and there, just to like just see how it's going, kind of get back into it. You know, we went out to oh man, what's the flat track? I'm forgetting right now, but went out to practice with Wilbur Hancock. Shout out Wilbur. And do a little training. But yeah, no, I love speedway. I mean, my attitude toward it hasn't really changed. But it's just the thing of doing cross training that more benefits road racing, because speedway is, for lack of a better term, kind of counterintuitive to the techniques that you use when you ride a road race bike versus a speedway bike. So yeah, but no,
that's funny. I
have
never heard that. I have never, I actually thought it would help, but I guess if you're sideways almost all the time and on, it doesn't teach braking, throttle control, some of that stuff, and on the gas all the time. I said that. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, it's not that it doesn't. It's just that flat tracking or types of dirt bike riding that are closer to flat tracking, where you still have to like hit the brakes and things like that, to me, and I'm not saying it as like a flat out statement that speedway is like not good for your road race skills. Like riding any different kind of bike,
yeah,
you know what I mean, or any different kind of skill of racing will be beneficial to your skills on a motorcycle. But for me, it's just I don't know, man. Scooter races are stressful. They're intense, and flat track races are much longer. Normally, speedway races in Southern California, at least, are generally only 4 laps. Tracks are really tight, and that's how the racing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be literally like bike to bike, swinging into the corner. You know what I mean? Really, literally leaning on each other, right next to each other. And yeah, the speedway practice was really fun. I think that was where I gained the most out of it for my riding, was when, like, at the end of like a flat track practice day or something when I was younger, the track would let me and like Travis Horn or some other kids on the speedway bikes go just do laps and laps and laps and laps over and over again. But because of the nature of how short the races are, that's the main reason that we kind of like stopped going to the speedway races. But yeah, no, I love speedway. I'm glad you brought it up.
I did a school with Greg Hancock when I was at Cycle News. It was really fun, but it's really difficult it's kind of different than what you're used to. And the last thing you want to do is hit that outside foot peg that's really low. You hit that on the ground, that's that's a disaster waiting to happen there. So
Yeah.
was your father, did he race motorcycles, or how did you get into it? Usually it's a dad that has, some ties to the sport.
I'm glad you asked, because I don't know that I have ever talked about my dad's racing, but my dad did race. He raced a couple different bikes. He raced a Ninja 250 out at Chuckwalla back in the earlier days of CVMA and Chuckwalla Valley Motorcycle Association. And he also raced a vintage bike. He loved the Honda CB350s, and he built them for fun. My dad is like an avid kind of like, he's a very hands-on guy. He loves tinkering. He loves working on engines and things like that. He loves like learning how a bike works. And something else about that side of him is that something I've noticed that he's done that a lot of other race dads haven't, which is every time that I move onto a new bike that I'm racing, whether it be mini bikes when I was a kid, whether it be the speedway bikes, the flat track bikes, and in more recent memory, the 400 and 750, because he has to buy so many parts for the bikes, for one reason or another, he takes the time to learn from people that we're talking to, whether it be teammates or just people at Chuckwalla, like more about the bikes. That way he's a better understanding, and he can fully maintenance the bike himself without any help from other people, because he has the time to do so. And so what it does is it makes my program more self sufficient. And yeah, so that's just something I've noticed from him that's been really beneficial to my racing, has been he like people at this point come to him asking for uh like suggestions on like 400 parts or something out at Chuckwalla. So it's like he becomes a sort of he takes the knowledge, since he has to work on these bikes so much anyways, like he takes the time and like fully learns the bikes inside and out as much as he can. So that way it's a resource for me. You know what I mean? He can become somebody that people ask questions for, or be like, hey Chad, like, can you buy me this part? Or like, can you like, what I mean, buy me this, you know? So it's something that's been very beneficial. But yeah, so my dad raced vintage bikes. My dad raced a Ninja 250 out of Chuckwalla. And funny story, actually. Chuckwalla was one of the very first places I learned to ride when I was about 7. I got a bike for my 7th birthday, and my dad took this good picture of me actually where the garages now are at Chuckwalla. It used to be that was all dirt back there, that whole second half of the paddock back there. And he used to send me on just a Honda 50 with knobby tires, and he would be like, okay, like go around that bush and then go around that bush and then come back, like when I was very first starting how to ride. And it's just funny because, you know, that picture's taken right where like the Pridmore garage now is, and now I'm racing there myself. And so it's kind of cool that like Chuckwalla was one of the first places that I learned to ride. But yeah, my dad's just an avid motorcycle fan. You know what I mean? He loves working on the bikes. His parents didn't let him have one when he was a kid, and so he wanted to give that opportunity to me. He shared the love with me when I was little. And yeah, you know, it was a good opportunity for us to spend more time too. You know, I live at 2 houses, and so, and I didn't initially when he started doing this, but yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to spend time, you know, doing something that we both love. And I think that was, you know, the basis of it. And from there, it just got more and more competitive. We just kept kind of putting more and more into it. And we kept wanting to go farther. And so, you know, here we are down this path, you know, for better or for worse. We're on it. And yeah, so that's kind of the origin of my dad's side of it. Just motorcycle fan, motorcycle racer at the local clubs and such. And yeah, eventually it came to a point. I mean, shoot, he even raced some speedway too. But when I was first starting out on the 150, he was in the D3 on the 500. So that was funny. But so yeah, there would be times that like even at like mini bike race events, you know, M1GP, UMRA, like where we'd both be riding. But it became a point where it was too time stressful and also too like money stressful for us both to be racing on a weekend. And he was like, oh no, I'm done. I'm just putting it all into you. You're the hope for the family name. Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Altus. You mentioned it. So, you know, they're kind of a legacy team. They've been with us since the beginning and have always had a big footprint, always raced with a lot of riders. And you know, it's a little bit of an academy. I mean, you have some riders that start out there and go through. Obviously, they've had some championships with Cam Peterson and Jake Lewis on the big bike. They have a lot of success. They kind of had an issue with Eric Gray a couple of years ago when he passed, and that really set them back a little bit. But I think they're further on their way, and they're even going to be more so next year. It's a great team to be a part of. You had mentioned that, you know, I'm not sure how you put it, if you said it takes you a little while to get up to speed or whatever, but you have been on a Suzuki GSXR 750, so you will be on a Suzuki again this year. Is that right? And
that's correct.
You're going to have that continuity. Did that enter into you racing for that team at all? And how did it come about? Did you talk to them? Did they talk to you? How did it go?
I mean, we talked to each other. We had conversations with Altus team a lot this season, partially because we both had some electronical issues that plagued all of the 750s in the Supersport class. But yeah, you know, we just started talking to them more and more, especially as I did pretty good in some of the races this season, you know. it's hard to when you're friends with from their perspective, when you're friends for the racer and then they beat some of your riders, it's hard not to really talk to them. But I'm just messing around. But no, they're great people. They're personable people. I mean, shoot, one of the longest conversations we had with them was we saw them by chance at we were both eating dinner at the same place at Ridge and up in Washington, and yeah, just good conversations with them. Off track, you know what I mean, in Parc Fermé, just talking with their riders, you know. But yeah, George and the whole family are great people, and yeah, I'm really excited to be working with them. And yeah, it was people talk to each other. I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember when it initially started, but I do know that it was always in the talk of it's going to be my motorcycle. You know what I mean? And with their support. So
I see.
What I mean by that is it's quite literally going to be my motorcycle. But
we think we know what you're talking about there. So
oh no. Yeah, see, that's the other thing I wanted to address, which is an initial reaction I get from some racers, and I just wanted to clear the air. Is, you know, Altus specifically on Jarrett's bike had some issues this last season, and whether it be electronical or not, and Jarrett last season had some. I've never seen a racer so down in the dumps sometimes, but you know, he pushed through. And yeah, like it's gonna be my motorcycle, and we're doing that for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, it's a cost thing.
Right.
If I can keep racing my motorcycle, but be on their team, and you know, I mean, be running all their like sponsors, then that's the perfect, you know what I mean, mutual relationship for us, and for them hopefully too. So I mean, yeah, part of it is just having the security of my dad being the one doing the work on the bike, but they're still going to be doing the maintenance in between the rounds that they do because it's going to be on the semi truck, and so they do some, you know what I mean, light maintenance. I'm pretty sure it's just like oil changes, clutch work, like between the rounds and things like that. So yeah, but yeah, no, it wasn't. That's an initial reaction I even got from some of my peers in the class, like when I initially told them about the deal. They were just like, oh, Altus. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. You know what I mean? I have full 100% confidence in the bike and in the like security of the running of the bike. You know, I have full confidence in that 100%.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't even thinking of that. What I was thinking of with you is kind of the beginning part of my question is the idea that you have been on a Suzuki GSXR. So I assumed probably you were going to have your same bike, bring it into that team. I know they're a Suzuki team, but they've got expertise on it. So there's going to be some continuity there. I mean, I know you could probably get on in another Suzuki GSXR 750 and it'd be similar after you get your setup, but it's your bike already. So that's kind of what I was getting at, is like you've kind of been down the road with a Suzuki. It's great that you can just kind of continue that and have Altus to support that whole thing. It really works out well. And I'm sure that entered into the whole thing. You're on the same brand. So, you know, that made a difference, right? Yeah. Is your bike a Team Hammer bike?
Yes.
Okay, and I know there's our two.
Sorry, I'm so used to people just saying M4 that I had to think about it. I was like, wait.
Sorry, yeah, yes. A lot of people do refer to him that way, but I kind of go back to the origin of it too. But yeah, I figured that. I mean, with the throttle, electronic throttle, and all that stuff, and I know that's Altus's connection too, so it makes a lot of sense that there's continuity through that entire thing with the GSXR 750s. There are a fair number of riders in that class that race Suzuki's that have gotten their bikes through Chris and whatever. So it's cool. It's cool that that's done that way.
Yeah. Shout out Chris. Just rode.
Ulrich.
Yeah, Ulrich. Yeah, Chris. I don't know. Everyone refers to him by his last name. I'm trying to be cool here, but just rode mini bikes with him the other day, and his son Van, and that was awesome. We went to literally 2 days ago. Went to Apex Go Kart Track because they're in town for the holidays, and so that was awesome. But Yeah, got the bikes from Chris. Funny story, actually, to now, I guess, throw some shade on Chris. But first time I ever rode the bike, I think it was the same bike. First time I ever rode a 750, I should say. I think it was Sam Lockoff's old 750 from their team, or at least it had Sam Lockoff's number plate on it. I don't remember whose it was, but um, I was tipping into turn 3 at Chuckwalla going counterclockwise, so like second to last turn, and I'm on a super chill lap. I think it's like literally my first or second lap out on track on it at all. I'm being ginger with this thing, and I tip into turn 3. Turn 3 is pretty shallow and it's kind of slow. Well, not kind of slow, but it's pretty shallow turn. I'm not even like fully getting off the bike. I tip into the corner, and all of a sudden the rear starts to wrap around like a high side, and I was like, oh my god, please don't catch, and it didn't catch ever. It just kind of like plopped over on the right side. What had happened was the one of the coolant hoses, the clamp on it was the wrong size, and so it came off, and my whole rear tire was completely wet.
Wow.
And yeah, Ulrich looked at it and he was like, yeah, that coolant clamp's the wrong size. And my dad was like, okay, so like, you know what I mean? The bike was fine. I think the bike had like the handlebar was like just not even bent, but like, you know what I'm saying? It was turned, and I was fine too. But yeah, he's like, oh yeah, that coolant clamp's the wrong size. And my dad's like, okay, and he's like, who put that on? He's like, me.
Way to call him out.
It's probably good that it lubricated the whole tire so that you didn't high side.
Oh yeah, no, it was fine. I like to tell the story because it was funny, and
that's pretty good.
I want to talk a little bit about CVMA because I know you're having good results there, and it's easy to say, oh, it's his home track, blah blah blah. Let's see what he can do when he gets to other tracks. But I think you alluded to it earlier that once you have a familiarity with a track, things start to come along a lot better. You've obviously done a zillion laps there. And I see that this offseason you've raced with Josh Hayes, and the competition out there it's got to help you as far as your riding ability in the offseason when there's guys back east that can't even ride motorcycles.
Yeah. I don't know. The way you worded that for a second, I was like, can't even ride motorcycles. Like, they're racers. What are you talking about? But yeah, I remembered the snow. Yeah. Hey guys. Sorry, my mom's just coming back. They're on a walk, but so yeah, Chuckwalla. I love CVMA. I could probably ride that track with my eyes closed now. I've ridden so many laps around that place. It's my home away from home, but yeah, the competition level this season in particular, it keeps rising every round. It just keeps going up, and specifically with the addition of Josh Hayes, I've had the opportunity to race with Josh Hayes in MotoAmerica my rookie season of Supersport, but it was my rookie season of Supersport, and I have no chance of catching the 4-time national champ out there. So, I got to watch him go by during qualifying sessions, but that was about it. And Josh, actually, before racing CVMA this season, had never raced at Chuckwalla before. He'd ridden there a few times, and in the past, he said he despised it, which is the funny part. But he's been racing it on a BPR, a Bryce Prince Racing race bike, I believe, and yeah, he's been doing good. He caught it quick. It was funny. The first round that he was there, I didn't even know that he was there, or I didn't even race with him until Sunday, the race that mattered, the shootout race, the money race, and yeah, sorry, let me correct myself. There's 2 races on Sunday that we both did, and there was one that was before the shootout race, and then the shootout race. And in the one before, I remember I was following him, and we were all following him. It was me, it was Aussie Dave, it was Corey Alexander, and it was Brandon Kettleson. Shout out to them. And we were all on Josh's tail, and I can't remember. I didn't pass him in that race particularly because I fell kind of to the back of that group because I think we're having some tire struggles. And so I think I ended up getting like 4th or 5th in that race. And but everyone started to go by him, and there were some spots where everyone was rolling up on him like hard. You know what I mean? I was like, shoot, like if it's like this in the shootout race, like maybe I can get the opportunity to beat Josh Hayes. You know, I was getting a little excited. And we go out for the shootout race, and I was following. It was just me and Josh at the front. No, it was. I think it was Brendan and Aussie Dave, I believe. I'm not sure. I think there's 2 people in front, then Josh, then me. And I was following Josh, and I kept rolling up on him in those same spots for the first couple laps. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself again. I'm mixed up. But okay, it was still a shootout race on Sunday, but I had the whole shot, and Josh was behind me for 2 laps. And I even pulled a little bit of gap on the very first lap of that race. And you know, and then he caught back up, and that whole time I was seeing my pit board 0-0. I'm like, shoot, like maybe like he's still rolling up on me, or maybe he's not rolling up on me in those spots. Maybe I still got a chance. And then he passed me, and there was I was still pretty close. You know, I was still seeing in those spots that I was a little bit faster. I'm like, okay, this is good. I can just stay calm. You know what I mean? Roll with him, like go forward with him. And then something just clicked. Something just happened in Josh Hayes's brain out there on the track, and he was just gone. He just dropped a half a second instantly, and or more. And I was just like, okay, there's the fortune and the time national champ just coming out. You know what I mean? Like that's how quickly he gets acclimated to go track record pace in one race weekend at a track that he's only been to once or twice before. It was incredible to see firsthand and get a front row seat. You know what I mean? To physically see it on track, because I've never raced with anyone like that. You know, the closest thing to that I've ever experienced at Chuckwalla was maybe when I was on the 400 and Kayla came out and smoked me on the Saturday race. And then I had to like pick it up and do my fastest time I had ever done previously on Sunday, just in order to beat her. And she was on a MotoAmerica restricted bike and I wasn't. And so that was the closest experience I had to that at Chuckwalla. But yeah, going back to your question, the competition level being high at Chuckwalla is the most beneficial part about Chuckwalla, because something that a lot of people may not know or think about is that Chuckwalla's layout is very unique for US racing in particular. The fact that the straightaways are so short and the braking, there's hardly any hard braking at all, means that the layout is specifically anti MotoAmerica. If you really think about it, it's the opposite of what a lot of these tracks are. You know, almost every single MotoAmerica track has one corner that is extremely hard braking, or a couple corners that are like that. You know what I mean? Chuckwalla is, I guess, for lack of a better term, because I don't want to be the cliche guy to call tracks technical or not technical, because I'm not experienced enough to do so. And I feel like every racer has like different definitions for it. But Chuckwalla is very flowy. You're on the side of the tire for long periods of time. There's double and triple apex turns, multiple of them, both directions, no matter which way you go around the track. Then, you know, there's a long bank sweeper. And I guess the most like technical you have to get on the bike is going up over Crash Corner. It's really off camber. It's the slowest turn at the track, but it's also extremely off camber. It's up on a hill. It's called Crash Corner because the off camber nature of it makes it so that, especially when it's cold out there, it's a front tucking hot spot, especially for the lesser experienced racers out there. But yeah, so Chuckwalla's layout specifically, and I had this conversation with Josh Hayes too. You know, he reminded me, and I was like, yeah, like trust me, like I know Chuckwalla is, if you only race at Chuckwalla, you're gonna be screwed for some of the other tracks in terms of your riding ability. You know, it's not, you'd be better off going to places like Buttonwillow, if you really, which is also nearby. It's also in, you know, California, but you'd be better off going to other tracks in California for me to get real MotoAmerica kind of track experience. I mean, shoot, I might as well go up to Laguna now that I'm old enough. Side tangent here. I was so sad when I learned that Laguna's age was a hard 16 just for doing track days or race events there. And it was funny because in Junior Cup, I used to be in Lake Park for May after the races, and all of my other like peer, young early teenage racers are like, "What's up, Owen? Like, this is supposed to be your home track." And I'm like,
Never
this is
been
my
there.
first time here. This is like, you guys have been here more than me." It was frustrating. But yeah, no, Chuckwalla is amazing, but most people might not know that the layout is specifically kind of the opposite of what MotoAmerica tracks are like. And so you have to just be aware of that, and you have to do cross training, and you have to ride at other tracks during the off season in order to kind of be set for MotoAmerica. It made MotoAmerica, I believe, a lot more challenging for me at the very beginning, and shoot, even now, like especially in Junior Cup when I first started, I went to these MotoAmerica tracks, and it was just like, dude, like I'm actually hitting the brakes. Wow. Like at a 400 at Chuckwalla, like you almost never hit the brakes ever. And you never have to like use that skill of stop and go ever. So it was new for me at these other places, which provided a unique challenge. I mean, I'm still way more comfortable at Chuckwalla than I am at some of these MotoAmerica tracks. But I take parts of it, like there'll be long sections, or there'll be flowy sections, or there'll be double or triple apexes at other MotoAmerica tracks, but just in one spot. And I'll take my Chuckwalla experience there. You know what I mean? So it's still a beneficial track. It's not like the layout is like bad, but it's just that if you only ride at Chuckwalla, you know what I mean? It provides a challenge when you go to other places.
I think it could be beneficial from the confidence standpoint, right? So like if you're at Chuckwalla, even though doing well at Chuckwalla doesn't make you go to Road America and kick everybody's ass, at least you run at the front at races at Chuckwalla. So it gives you the confidence that, hey, I'm capable of running at the front.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the fact that I'm like, okay, so technically I don't hold a track record at Chuckwalla, but that's because these last couple rounds, you know what I mean? I've been going the pace that was the old track records, but it's just that they keep breaking it and keep going slightly and slightly faster. Part of that's because of some of us have the new Dunlop tire compound out there for the rear, but we've been running it on the 200 size rim. Shout out to Racer's Edge Performance, Dale out there for getting our hands on those tires. But yeah, so the track record's been being broken by everybody right now. It's Brendan's breaking it. Ozzy Dave was breaking it. Josh was breaking it, and so now I got a PR of a 44.9. So comparing that to my PR last year being a 46 something, I think I did a 45.9, like, and we're not even done with the season yet. It's not even the warmest round. So yeah, I'm really excited for what we can keep doing. But yeah, you're right. It gives me confidence to be running at the front somewhere. It helps me with that facet of my racing, because if I went to other clubs and stuff like that, you just don't have the same level of competition. I mean, these grids are like mini MotoAmerica races out there. I mean, shoot, we had one race where we had Ozzy Dave, Josh Hayes, James Rispoli, you know what I mean? Brendan, I'm going to call him a MotoAmerica racer because he's done Laguna and Ridge a few times. But, the competition level is extremely high. But go ahead.
No, you're right. I was going to say, Brendan, yeah, for sure. I mean, I hope to see him in the paddock again this year. I mean, he's advanced kind of like you have, Owen. But and that's on a super sport bike. The leader bikes, you got obviously Corey Alexander and Andrew Lee and all those guys. So, I think does Dion Campbell? I think he also races there as well. So, I mean, it's
Bryce
like
Prince.
Bryce Prince. It's a microcosm of what MotoAmerica is. So speaking, you're on a super sport. Have you considered, or what's your plan? Are you going to get on a leader bike at some point here? I mean, obviously you will at some point, but when might it be?
That's a really great question, Sean. Fun fact: I've never ridden 1,000 ever. I mean,
that's okay.
I've had the opportunity to. The JP has tons of bikes. He's offered me to go out on, but yeah, no, I've never ridden 1,000. Would love to ride 1,000. I think that'd be a great experience for me no matter what. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not really looking at that right now. And part of that is because I feel like at the moment, whether they say it is or not, I feel like Supersport is the premier class, and that's just me. But I feel like, and the reason I say that is just at a surface level, like you have the level of Supersport racers from the top to the mid pack has so many more experienced racers than Superbike does, because Superbike, they're also extremely, maybe even more experienced racers, but they're just the top, you know what I mean, like 10%, or like, you know what I mean, the amount is smaller. And so I feel like it can make for some interesting racing at the very front in Superbike. But for the mid pack racer, Supersport is the place to be, because you have a wide variety of all highly experienced people in there, and you're gonna have even more coming into Supersport this season. So
Right.
For me, I've just got my eyes set on Supersport. I mean, I feel like there's still a lot left for me to learn and to, you know what I mean? I am nowhere even near mastering this bike. I don't think a lot of the racers at my level are. And yeah, I feel like we have a good way to go. And so I want to do as much as I can on this Supersport. And so for now, I don't believe that I'm looking at a leader bike anytime soon, other than for like training purposes. But yeah, but that's just me. You know, that I'm sure that could change. You know, you could convince me.
Yeah, I
But
mean, honestly, I don't think you're the only one. I mean, Kayla kind of says that too. I mean, she sees it in her future, but not in her immediate future, which is a good thing. And to your point about Supersport, you're right. And I mean, we're not going to give anything away, but you're right. There are some riders that are going to be. Well, we know that Matthew Skoltz is going to be back, and he's going to have that number one on his bike. So you've got that target to shoot for, as well as some other people in there. But I'm sure you know some people that haven't been announced yet that are heavy hitters too. So it's going to be a good class. You're going to have your hands full. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, there's no question. I want to ask you a couple of things real quick. Well, first of all, you're at your mom's house, so I don't think you have this. You don't have your Jason Pridmore helmet with you, do you?
I don't
That's
actually.
okay. That's all right. I mean, we did a
Yeah,
piece on it, but I just thought it was so cool that you unveiled that at Road America with him. You made it look like an Arnold Palmer
that
half and
was
half
you,
can.
Sean.
Well,
That was all you, man. You orchestrated that.
well, yeah, but I mention it only because you had it painted. I mean, that's incredible. What a
It's
legacy.
a wrap.
And
It's a
we
vinyl wrap.
oh, is it still on the helmet?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's a
You're not
vinyl
going to
wrap.
take
It
it off.
wasn't a paint job. Yeah.
Okay. So good.
Uh,
So good. And you kept it from Jason. You were able to surprise him with it right on TV, which was really terrific. And what a legacy to him. And I know you think a lot of him and what he's done for you. So that's kind of why I wanted to mention it is, what Jason does at Chuckwalla for younger riders like you is really great.
yeah, I mean, Jason is up there with like my role models and my idols in the racing community, or just around me. You know what I mean? Like if I had to think, I would list Jason first, and then I'd say Greg Hancock, and then I'd probably say Josh Hayes now. You know, but Josh, for some context, like Josh has been really, really helpful with me out at Chuckwalla. Not that I've been getting direct coaching like a lot of racers do from him, but he's just a great guy and just always willing to give me tips and help out, especially since we're battling now. But back to Jason. Yeah, I loved that helmet. If I loved his reaction, it's amazing. I mean, I show that video to anybody that knows Jason, but because it's hilarious. But yeah, shout out to Edge Designs for completely whipping that up. I mean, literally, we just sent him the Arizona tea can that was the Arnold Palmer flavor, and then we sent him the pictures that we had of Jason. He asked for a few more. We sent him a few more, and he put it together. He also, without us asking, took some pictures off of Jason's Instagram of him golfing, which I thought was funny. And yeah, but there's like a nutrition facts on the back of the helmet. Edge put a lot of work and detail into that one. It was interesting during the design process because he wasn't actually sure. He had never made a blow up like bigger images of someone's face or of someone in general on a helmet before, specifically on the top part, which is where the main pictures of Jason are. and he was actually worried that they might warp too much when you
Right.
put the wrap onto the helmet, but he nailed it and it looked great. And so I was really happy we got to unveil it there at Road America. It was awesome how we got to do it all. I forget what we were initially expecting to do. Maybe just or maybe just unveil it. I don't know where. I forget what we were even going to do before this whole master plan. But yeah, having Hannah interview me was pretty smart and a great way to surprise him because I don't know exactly how it works, but I'm sure you guys have a meeting and you guys be like, okay, we're going to interview this guy on grid, and then that way Jason's or the commentators and whoever know who to do some research on or lately or talk about. And so Jason, it was funny because Jason obviously knew that I was getting interviewed, but he was none the wiser. And Hannah actually told me afterwards, funny story, that she almost spoiled it because she didn't know that it was a surprise that we were going to be talking about the helmet. And so she thought it was weird that I forget who was it Greg that said in that meeting beforehand that they were going to be interviewing me. And so she was almost like, wait, we're interviewing Owen for the helmet. She almost said it, she almost the whole thing, but then she didn't. But yeah, no, that was definitely a highlight of the season. I love that video. I love the B-roll shots that you guys got of the helmet too in the pit. Yeah, no, I love that unveiling. Jason's just done a ton for me. Can't thank him enough. And can't wait to be working with him again this season. You know what I mean? I'm going to need all the support I can get. And, having someone like Jason who has my back is it really helps me with my confidence out there. He's got infinitely more experience than I do. And yeah, but love Jason, love the whole crew. And yeah.
You got a great sports system. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Speaking of Jason, I know you have a time commitment to actually meet up with him, I believe, today. So I'm gonna play the dad here and cut you loose so you can make your appointment. But
Paul, can I ask one more question real quick?
Go for it.
So Owen, this is completely out of left field, but since you brought up about speedway, I want to ask you. So Paul, this will be part of Paul's thing too. So of course, Bruce Penhall. And Boogaloo Schwartz, Bobby Boogaloo Schwartz, and I put another guy in that group, which I don't think Paul does, but I do, and this guy won't even think he should be in there, but I think of him every time I think of Speedway, and it's Bryce Eichelberger. Do you know him?
I don't.
Okay, Bryce.
I didn't know he raced Speedway.
Bryce was big in Speedway for a long time, and he's getting his grandson involved in it, and he got a smaller I don't know. It wasn't a Jowl, but it was a little speedway bike, and he hasn't done it in a while, but he did it when he was really young, and he used to race with Greg Hancock and those guys. So
really,
yeah, I mean, do you know Bryce? Bryce is he used to be with Yamaha. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. He used to be with Yamaha. He's been involved with forever. He worked with Miguel with Honda. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No, it's coming in out of left field. He's pretty good friend of mine. So, and I know he did some stuff with Melissa a few years ago too. He was the mechanic on that team. He's been around a bunch. He's actually a Yamaha employee. So, but yeah, he did Speedway for the longest time to the point where I put him in that group, even though, he'd say, oh my God, no way, but he knows all those guys and he thinks a lot about Speedway. So,
well, I've got one to really put him on the spot here because this guy actually lives in Orange County and not many people would know that. But do you know who Barry Briggs is?
I don't. Oh man, I thought you were going to say another name because when I was younger and when I lived in Costa Mesa before I lived in Lake Forest with my dad, we lived right down the street from oh my gosh.
That's supposed to only happen to Paul and me. We have that.
I'm sorry. I know my mind's young. My mind's young.
I bet your dad knows who Barry Briggs is, but he's a multi-time Speedway world champion and he lives in Dana Point. So
no way.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
He lives 3 miles from me and I know him because my dad's of the same age and they work together a lot and stuff, but not many people know that he lives right here in Southern California.
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of people in Southern California.
See, now you can throw that name
know.
around and people will be impressed. You're like, yeah, I know.
Wow.
Barry
Awesome. Thank you. You just gave me more ammunition.
All right, guys.
That's awesome.
We appreciate you joining us, Owen. And
No, thank you.
It's nice to chat with you, and we'll see you down the road here pretty soon. We'll get started before we even know it. Oh, real
Thanks,
quick, your
Oh.
plans include Daytona?
I don't believe.
Okay.
But I would love to race Daytona at some point. It's just a cost thing.
Yeah,
Seriously,
well, you've got a few years left in you, so you'll eventually get there.
Just a few.
All right, guys. Thank you, Sean. Take
All right.
care.
See you guys.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
Happy
Bye,
New
bye.
Year.